best personal watercraft racers in the world gather at Lake Havasu City, Arizona for the World Championships in jet sports racing. It's a tradition that began back in the early 80s, attended almost exclusively by a tight-knit group of competitors with their family and friends. Things have changed since then, as today over 30,000 spectators are on hand to watch 750 competitors from 21 different countries battle for the World Championship crown. Stay with us as the most prestigious event in jet sports racing returns to Lake Havasu City, the Scat Track World Finals on ESPN. Welcome to Lake Havasu City, Arizona, and the 13th running of the Scat Track World Finals, presented by Performance Jet Ski. Today's event, the World Championships in Personal Watercraft Racing. Hello, I'm David Stanfield. Joining me on today's telecast, two-time overall world champion, Larry Rippenkroger. Larry, tell me about the importance of this event today.
Well, it doesn't get any more important than this. No matter how experienced you are, you've got butterflies today. The World Championship is decided after 3 events, the slalom and 2 divisions of closed course race, and whoever is the most consistent is the world champion.
This is an international event. In fact, 750 competitors have come here from all over the world. 100 competitors are international, and that's quite impressive.
It really is, and they've all had to earn their way here, and probably for the first time in the history of the sport, the Europeans are a serious threat to win the World Championship.
Now, we have competitors from 21 different countries, but the one country that poses a threat against USA's dominance in this sport is France.
Kareem Petrel for the first one. Last year looked very impressive in the pro women's class. She's back again this year with another year of experience under her belt.
Then there's 7-time European champion, 4-time French champion, young Nicolas Rios.
Nicolas looked incredible earlier today, and actually, you look at the points now from the earlier heats, he is poised to take a world championship away from the Americans if they're not careful.
A crowd of 20,000 on hand to watch this, the World Championships. Perfect conditions for racing. Let's check in with the 3rd member of our team, Todd Harris. Todd?
Thanks, guys. Once again, Lake Havasu has been kind to us. A beautiful day for racing here. The World Finals. Overcast skies, air temperature around 85 degrees, but the sun's not out, so that'll be nice for both the racers and the fans. The water temperature around the low 70s, so once again, a beautiful place to have the World Finals. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Todd. On the line, Pro Runabout, closed course race number 2, and let's take a look at the course before they get underway, Larry.
Well, the race course here at Lake Havasu, always a challenging one. This year, no exception. A long start straightaway out into a left-hand turn, but it is a decreasing radius. As the riders go into that turn, they're going to have to use some throttle control to hang tight with the buoys. Then we go into the first right-hand turn of the course. It's a double yellow, a sweeper section, then a sharp left, then a chicane, another left over the first log jump leading into the front straightaway. Then we go into the challenging section of the race course. It's a split. The riders have the option of going to the left or to the right, and there's log jumps leading into either way. Now, it has varied from class to class, but from what I have seen, the majority of the classes have chosen the left-hand side as their preferred option, but you can go either way. From there, we go into the traditional Lake Havasu back straightaway, extremely long, very fast. And one note, the runabouts will not be going over the log jumps. They will go around them, but they will be going 15 laps.
Number 14. Couple of hot riders to look for. Boat number 26, John Stevens, our national champion. 113, Jamie Keys, the young lady out of Florida, very good. On pole position, boat number 6, that is Robert Magpock. And obviously, we got to watch out for our defending world champion, Beau Dupree's boat number 1. But it is John Stevens that has the points lead after the slalom and the first race. And they are off, but it is a false start, and somebody jumped the gun.
Well, it looked like Beau Dupree's had got a great jump off the line, but it may have been just a shade early. It's a real fine line between trying to anticipate the start and actually jumping the start. If the front of your craft breaks the plane of that rubber band before it snaps, you are penalized, and it's a costly one. You lose your holders, you have to start with a dead engine, your hand on your helmet, you're not allowed to touch the starter until the rubber band snaps.
Let's take a look. Beau Dupree's 3 from the bottom, 3 from pole position, and with a good jump, but it's a costly one, like you said. He is going to be penalized.
Here's another angle. Beau will be on the far end. You can see him moving early there, just a shade early. He missed it by a half a second there. Would have been a great start for him. It was a gamble, but this time it did not pay off.
Here we go, second attempt. Pro Runabout, race number 2 underway. John Stevens with a good start. And on the inside, it looks like Robert Magpok.
Boy, Magpok hooked up down that front straightaway. He actually got up behind Stevens, but something worked right, whether he had the horsepower or just kept the pump of the water better, I don't know what, but boy, he rocketed off that line.
A good showing right now for Robert Magpok, who last year was in the amateur runabout class and was 6th overall here at Havasu, and this year looking very strong.
Out in front is where you want to be, especially on this first lap. You can take advantage of the semi-smooth conditions. From here on out, it gets extremely rough. Stevens dropped back now. He got off the line early, but he's sitting in about 4th place right now.
And there's Tim McKercher, boat number 118Y out of Florida, takes a tight inside line and looked like he jumped that buoy. Still ahead of John Stevens. And there is our leader, boat number 6Y out of West Covina, California, Robert Magpok. And for the 1993 season, it was his first year as a pro. He finished 5th overall in the National Tour. His best finish ever, though in racing, was 2nd overall. But for today, a good start puts you out front.
Well, actually, it was Stevens that come up the line first. Magpok closest to us. Watch this, boy, he is hooking up. He blows by Stevens. In fact, there's another Sea-Doo McKercher on the far side. He also goes by Stevens. They have brought some horsepower here to Lake Havasu.
Great top end on Robert Magpok's 1989 770 Sea-Doo, and he leads this race. The 30-year-old out of West Covina, California, again ranked 5th in the 1993 season, and just about spins out.
Well, I think what you're going to see as the conditions get rougher, horsepower can actually work against you. It takes a lot more than just raw horsepower to win this one.
Let's take a look at the top 4. Magpok, Ludwig, McKercher, and Stevens. And as we speak, McKercher is being penalized a lap, so John Stevens automatically moves into 3rd spot, but McKercher is not going to be happy about this. He's going to be dropped down 1 lap for jumping over a buoy.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, Dave. It was a close call on that first lap. McKercher riding very aggressively, and the rule is you have to go completely around the buoy. There it is. He goes over the top of it. Even though it pops up on the correct side, he did not go completely around it, so that is considered a missed buoy. He was down 1 lap.
A tough break for Tim McKercher, the 24-year-old out of Melbourne, Florida. Let's take a look at the top 5 right now. We have Robert Magpok leading in 2nd, Jojo Ludwig, but make note, Beau Dupree's from a penalized start is in 5th spot right now. Jojo Ludwig, though, out of Wisconsin in 2nd, and he's putting in a fine ride as well.
He is, but it looks like he's struggling there, Dave. He kind of bogged down in that turn. Took him a while to get the speed back up. I'm not sure if he's beginning to have motor troubles or what. It seems to be running fine down this back straightaway, but coming into that turn, it seemed to be lagging.
Well, John Stevens, the defending national champion, going after a world title right now, bearing down on Jojo Ludwig. And can you imagine if your boat is acting up the pressure that Jojo Ludwig is feeling right now with John Stevens on his tail?
Well, it'll certainly get your adrenaline flowing. You're out there in front of a champion. Your motor's starting to go sour. You want to baby it yet. You got to keep the pace up in order to keep them from getting around you. As we have seen on the National Tour, attrition in the runabout class is probably the biggest factor. They can't build these motors quite as radical as the stand-ups. They've got to keep them together. Consistency is going to be the key.
And nobody knows that fact better than our national champion, John Stevens.
It's going to be so much inconsistency. Everybody's been having mechanical tidbit failures here and there. So I got to be consistent, just put down some good finishes, but I don't know if speed's going to win. It's going to be consistency.
John Stevens, 28 years old, out of Orlando, Florida. Our national champion is consistent, consistently fast. He's currently running the 3rd, and with a break in the action, let's take a look at highlights of this morning's Pro Runabout race number 1 and slalom competition. To win the Pro Runabout World Championship, you've got to be good in closed course racing and in slalom competition. And earlier this morning, it got underway in the Pro Runabout class on a great course.
And the key in slalom is precision. You go down through the zigzag course, around a turnaround buoy, back through, breaking the timing light, and often just a hundredth of a second will separate the winners.
A big surprise this morning. Brad Lockhart out of Ontario, Canada, 20 years old. First time to the World Finals, and he was riding this monster machine, the Sea-Doo GTX 670, and it's a 3-seater.
Yes, that's right. This thing is designed for 3 people. It shocked everybody on the beach, including John Stevens. But John is a slalom world record holder, and if anybody could beat Brad's time, it was going to be John Stevens.
John went out on the course, and he was thinking, 21.23 and turned in an amazing time of 21.23, an exact tie for the fastest time of the day. The tiebreaker, though, was their other run, and Brad Lockhart turned in a 21.24. He won and told us why he picked the big machine, the GTX.
We started riding GTs and noticed that they handle real good in rough water. And when we got on smooth water, they work just as well because I think it's the length and some handling things that Dale Branks, my handling guy, he does on the bottom of the boat. It just makes it hook up, and it's so long, it's stable. You can hold the gas right on.
The 93 Canadian National Champion comes to Lake Havasu and wins the Pro Runabout Slalom title. Congratulations to Brad Lockhart. Now let's take a look at highlights. Pro Runabout race number 1, and it was very tight. That first turn had a cluster of 4 riders, but coming out in first was Robert Magpock to take the lead.
Well, a lot of different setups tried here at Havasu to win the championship. I'd have to say Robert Magpock had the best setup going thus far. Big hole shot in race number 1, John Stevens in pursuit. And if anybody wants to tell you runabouts are out for a Sunday cruise, take a look at this. Whoa!
And for Brad Lockhart, our slalom champion, well, his hopes for a world title were dashed. He ended up only picking up 8 points in race number 1. The big news, though, Robert Magpock, the leader, for 11 laps, decided to go to the outside of the course, and on the inside line goes John Stevens.
Well, Magpock with a comfortable lead. He had preferred the left-hand side of the split all race long. For whatever reason, he chose the right. Then he went in and made a mistake, a little spin out there, and that was all it took. Stevens gobbled up that lead, went by Magpock going into the back straightaway. Magpock had the drive on the outside, but Stevens had too much of a lead. That was the big change.
And when John Stevens saw the checkered flag, he picked up a cool 20 points. Add that to 17 points in the slalom, and he knows there's a big target on his back.
Yeah, but it also puts a lot of pressure on me. The target on my back is huge, and all I can hope is that everything holds up. The Kawasaki PJS will just stay with me, and we'll push it as hard as we can.
The man to beat, John Stevens, after winning Pro Runabout race number 1, congratulates Robert Magpock. And with 37 points, he is the man to beat going after the title. Back to the action, John Stevens in third, trying to chase down Jojo Ludwig, and this is a good race.
In fact, I'd have to say that Ludwig is indeed having engine problems or some kind of mechanical problems. The pace has dropped down somewhat, and Stevens is all over him.
He slows down in the turn, speeds up in the straightaways. Here comes John Stevens taking a lot tighter line. Down the front straightaway they go.
Stevens now swinging wide, trying to get the drive. He's going to set him up, trying to go to the inside of him. They both choose the left-hand side of the split. Now Stevens is going to try and get underneath him in each one of these turns.
There goes John going wide, avoiding the wake, and John looks down. He slows down.
Something is wrong. It looks like an engine seizure. He does not come to a complete stop. Things have cooled down. He's got it freed up. But what a break for Ludwig. That's going to give him a little breathing room.
A couple other riders passed John Stevens. Those were lappers. John maintains in third spot, but he drops back considerably. One more turn, he's on the straightaway. Let's see what kind of speed he can pull. Looks like his boat's back to normal.
Well, it looks like it's getting pretty good top end, accelerating, but it looked a little sluggish coming out of the turn. I'd have to guess that John did seize that thing. I've had that happen. Let's take a look here at the replay. Comes out of the turn, he's slowing, looks down. And take a look at his left thumb. He's pushing on that starter button. That's an indication right there. He's cranking the engine, trying to get it to refire. I think he did stick it. And often if you let it sit there for a couple of seconds, they'll cool down, they'll free up. Sometimes they won't lose any horsepower. Sometimes they'll even run better. You loosen them up a bit.
And our fifth-year pro, John Stevens, down the front straightaway at speed, and the crowd watching, trying to figure out what happened. Our leader is still Robert Magpock, followed by Jojo Ludwig. John Stevens, they make the top 3. Stevens holding on to that third spot, still in the hunt for the World Championship.
Robert Magpock having a great day, though. A little bobble in that first race we saw earlier. Dropped him back to second, but right now he is looking strong in race number 2.
Once again, Robert Magpock picked up 13 points in the slalom and was second in runabout race number 1. He is our leader. There's Jojo Ludwig around the course, keeping an eye, looking back for John Stevens.
And I still think Ludwig's engine's a bit sour, too. He just doesn't seem to be going as fast as he was earlier in the race. In fact, oh, no, I think he just broke, Dave.
Tough luck for the Wisconsin native, Jojo Ludwig. Down in the water, running in second, and now Obviously, he's dropped to third, fourth. We'll see what happens to him if he can restart, but John Stevens has now moved into second.
And Ludwig, he's got that thing fired again, but it's not running real sweet at this point. I think he seized his engine. It's still pretty tight. I don't know if he's going to be able to get it going. Oh, there. It freed back up. He's back in the race, Dave.
These runabouts are so durable and back in action, but he's dropped a couple places, moving into third. That is Rusty Guecki out of Duarte, California, inheriting third. And quite a show these guys are putting on for our 20,000 race fans. Lots of enthusiasts here. In fact, we've got some special guests. One of them is standing by with our own Todd Harris. Todd?
Thanks, guys. Well, I'm with another race enthusiast, Al, on sort of a different kind of racing. What brings you out here to this event?
Well, to watch all this water racing, it's neat. It's very, makes me kind of bouncy, you know, like to, you know, try it. I love water, and I have my own water machine, so here I am.
Talk about the racing you see out here and compare it to what you do. Similarities?
Well, yes, it is. And any type of racing doesn't make any difference. It takes all year to get here for this, and you plan on the finals, and just like we plan on Indianapolis. Yes, it is. It's just as hard. Doesn't make any difference what type of competitors you're in. It's all hard. So time you get here, you hope to have everything in place so you can walk away with the #1 trophy.
All right, Victor Sheldon, you better watch out. Al Unser may be on the tour next year. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Todd. Back to the action of the final lap. There is Robert Magpock, our leader out of West Covina, California, 30 years old, boat number 6Y. In second, John Stevens, 28 years old, out of Orlando, Florida, boat number 26Y. In third spot, Rusty Guecki. And in fourth, what a great ride for Bodu Priest. And a lap down, that is Jamie Keys.
Tough break for Jamie Key. She has had some strong showings on the national tour, but today does not look like it's going to be a good day for her.
A great performance by Robert Magpock this weekend. A lot of pressure on him right now. He has the pressure of John Stevens right behind him. Magpock, boat number 6, will win this battle, it looks like, but he won't win the war.
And a lot of pressure on the mechanics, too. Just less than a half a lap to go. And, you know, it's one thing to build in excess of 100 horsepower in this thing, but it's also another thing to build that kind of horsepower and have them stay together for 15 laps.
Endurance is the key, and the checkered flag is coming out. Winning Pro Runabout race number 2, Robert Magpock, and he's going to have a total of 50 points. Meanwhile, John Stevens, a second place finish, 17 points, a tally of 54 points overall, and the World Championships. But right now, all eyes are looking at Robert Magpock. A fantastic weekend of close course racing.
Great ride by Robert. It looks like he's expended every bit of energy that he had. He can barely stand right now. They're being congratulated by his crew. Let's take a look at a key factor in the race, the start. Stevens in the middle of the pack there, off to a great jump, but look at Magpock, closest to us. He had the combination working this weekend. He went by Stevens on the start and was able to hold him off for the rest of the race.
Let's take a look at the top 5. Robert Magpock on the Watercraft Magic Sea-Doo wins. He's standing by with Todd Harris. Todd?
Robert, huge win for you. You were there right in the first one as well as this one. What was the key? You knew John was coming up again?
Yeah, I knew he was coming up, but I just tried to ride a smooth race, and I knew he was at third place, and I guess the second place guy broke down, and when he was catching up, I just pushed it a little bit more, and I think I got a second win, and just try to do it smooth. That's it.
Okay, guys like you and John and Jeff Prier are kind of proving that this isn't a sport just for the young guys. Guys older in age can stay out here. You can be back again next year.
Well, definitely. I mean, I'm 30 years old, and I'm going to be back, and I'm going to give it my best shot next year again.
All right, man. Good luck. Congratulations. Thanks.
For John Stevens, our 1993 national champion, consistency paid off again. His PJS Kawasaki 750XI has carried him to the Pro Runabout World Championship. He's standing by with Todd Harris.
Thanks, guys. I'm with the first professional modified runabout champion, John Stevens. John, you dominated all year, but today it really came down to the last race, and you had just enough to get by.
Yeah, it was a wire-to-wire race. I mean, reliability was going to win it. It was tough to do, and I got lucky, pulled it off. The equipment held up. Can't say enough about it.
Now, Robert Magpock really gave you a chase there, really pushed it to the end. He actually won the second race, but you had just enough points. Tremendous race from him as well.
First race, I knew I had to put the pressure on Robert. Got by him, took a little pressure off. Second race, he had a good run. It was like, rather than kill the equipment, kill the boat, just finish where I am. be the world champion.
All right, John Stevens, our champion in the modified runabout. Back to you guys.